everybody who is watching. This is our fourth webinar with Fronter. And today we're talking about what are the right soft skills to maintain healthy relationship with your clients. In the last webinars, we are talking about techniques and strategies you can use, for example, the hairy hand principle or the hard drive principle, which are super useful and actionable. So if you missed these webinars, please go back and check them in replay. They're available on Facebook, and soon they will be available on YouTube as well. And as I mentioned, today we are talking about the right soft skills you should be using when you're managing your clients and when you are working with your clients on various projects, not only visual. And Haim, you are head of growth of Fronter, so you are pretty much the right guy to talk about this topic. And I'm so excited to see and hear what you prepared. So everybody, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask us down in the comments, and we'll be answering them throughout the webinar or in the end of the webinar. So I think without further ado, we can jump right into it, Haim. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right.
Yeah. So in the previous webinars, we somewhat touched client happiness and how to make your clients satisfied with your work. We will do a short review in this presentation, and we'll dive deeper into the entire set of soft skills that will keep your clients as an agency always happy with your work. And just make sure that you follow it closely, and tops it will not work right to me, and I will see, well, I will have to change my materials, but it definitely worked for us through the years, and I know a lot of people that use these techniques. They make sense, and it will probably make sense to you once you hear them.
All right.
So let's dive in. Yeah.
Let's dive into it. So can you please start sharing your screen? Do you have some presentation?
Yes. Can
All
you
right,
see
perfect.
my screen? Yes.
I see some people are joining on Facebook. So once again, before Haim prepares it, we are talking about the right soft skills you can use when you are working with your clients. So please make sure you will stick around, because this will be, again, very actionable, and you can take the knowledge from this webinar and use it almost immediately in your business. So let's dive in.
So soft skills are not only things you do technically when you're working with your client, meaning meeting deadlines and etc. It's also the behavior, the way you handle your client as you work with them. And let's just dive right in, and we'll be able to see everything. Okay. The thing is about keeping your clients happy is that many people, especially when at the first year or two, when they start to manage clients, they get frustrated by the fact that they don't feel that their clients are happy with their work. They are not getting feedback that their work is great. And this kind of, let's say, a perception holds them back in their ability to, first of all, make the clients happier as they progress, deliver things on time and the quality required. And it projects on the entire relationship with the client, meaning this relationship will not end good because the one who is not attuned to his inner self and is not able to deliver on the client happiness is the service provider. Now, later on, we will discuss who you can make happy and who you cannot make happy and what to do then. But it's important to know that the satisfaction of the client and his level of happiness with your work lays almost solely with the service provider of agency, okay? Now, the thing is, because it's not black and white, sometimes these techniques can be a bit counterintuitive, meaning I don't want to push the client. What will happen if I will push the client? I don't want to agitate the client or to annoy him or to disrupt him in any way. Sometimes you will have to do that, but let's find out as we'll progress.
All right.
Okay, so yesterday we talked about the hard drive principle. The hard drive principle means you need to put hard borders and define a project with your client and take your client by the hand through the project and tell him, no, you cannot enter new tasks unless you understand that you need to postpone something and prioritize other things. So outlining the borders is really, really important in the hard drive principle. Another thing that was mentioned in the hard drive principle is not to let the client manage you. Many times when a client hires you, he thinks rightfully so that he's paying. And because he's paying, you need to deliver what he asks. But sometimes he doesn't know what needs to be delivered, the consequences of his request, and the delays it might cause. That's why you need to be clear with your client about everything you do with him. Meaning, if you're asking me this, it will have X, Y, Z consequences. You have to know that. You have to get. So you need to make the executive decision whether this should come before that. Mm-hmm. Once a client knows all those things, he's able to progress with confidence. You know what? Stay and do what you do. I will find a better way. Meaning, oh, it will cost way more to do it through you. I would rather do it through my assistants. And, you know, everyone is happy that way. You don't need to deal with things that bother you in the middle of the project and will inhibit your progression and your ability to deliver on time. And he will get the results that he wants at the price that he needs. So that's the elements in the hard drive principle that will make your client happy.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing mentioned both in the hard drive principle and in the hairy hand principle is clear communication. When you are clear about what's going to happen at every stage of the project, you show a Gantt, the client is able to see that Gantt, to follow it, and you know, it reduces the amount of back and forward. There are less questions, and everyone is way more happy because communication should be positive, not when I'm getting this, when I'm getting that. If that's your kind of communication, it's only going downhill from that point. You need to say, there is a date on the Gantt, you can check it, and you need to say it only once. They will know when to expect deliverables. If you'll not be able to deliver them on time, well, you will need to explain why. If you didn't communicate that good enough during the project, why you haven't reached a certain deliverable. And if you didn't update the Gantt and updated the client, of course. So communication skills is a must, okay? Now, let's dive into the more counterintuitive aspects of client happiness. The fact that you are assertive and you are not backing down and you are saying no and you are confident about what you are saying makes the client happy. Why do you think it does? Why do you think it makes the client happy? Can you think of something, Jacob?
I think because they are basically believing in you. They are spending their hard-earned money on you and on your opinions, and they need to feel the experts. Then they need to feel the authority in you, that you know that they chose right. And people who are actually confident in what they do, they are actually assertive as well, usually. Yep. So yes. I think that's one of the crucial things, to be confident in what you do and assertive. So if the client is actually becoming more, nervous about that you're not delivering, you need to be able to explain that, hey, this is a normal part of the process, and or you just need to communicate clearly and assertively.
Yeah, think about it like that. You're going to a doctor. Do you want to tell the doctor what to do with your body, or do you want to get from the doctor instructions on what to do with your body? You want the doctor to guide you through the process because he's the professional, and the professional should know what's better for you more than you. That's why you pay the doctor.
Yes.
Okay? And that's the simplest of explanation. Your assertiveness keeps your clients calm. If every time your client will come to you with something and you'll bend, you're ruining your relationship. You're not fulfilling your role as a service provider. You need to give maybe an alternative and not an immediate responsive, tell me to jump and I will ask how high kind of alternative, but you definitely need to know to manage your client, okay? With assertiveness and confidence. That one thing is one of the most important things to remember. Let's move forward.
Okay.
Now, having a sense of humor is great, but you know, it's easy to exaggerate when you're with clients. You know, after a week or 2 or 3 that you're talking, you can become best buds, or at least you'll feel that you're best bud. But becoming a joker is really problematic, meaning you need to keep a kind of a distance. Sure, of course, after a few months or years even, you become their friend. And when you become their friend, that's totally fine. But keeping a distance but yet being humoristic and funny on the borderline that it's acceptable, i.e. not going to dark places or funny humor that, you know, that is a bit macabre, all those good. You need always to remember that the client perceives you, until the moment he perceives you as a friend, as a service provider. And service provider should have a calm demeanor. She needs to be positive and funny, and that's all fine and really servicey-like, but keep that border. Once you cross that border, once your client thinks you're a joker, you won't get another project, probably, most likely even. Yep. Let's move on to the next point. As I mentioned, being funny to a point, but don't be afraid to be positive, even overly positive, using positive languages, being sure about your deadlines, being sure about your team, being sure about your client, and you know that their project is the project that we are progressing in the way that we should progress, and you know the product is going to be amazing, assuming that's the truth. Yes, I would not tell lies to my clients and, you know, say, your product is going to be amazing when I don't think so. If I don't think that the product is going to be amazing, I'm going to tell that to the client and communicate what we need to do to make it amazing. But I will do so at the most positive, wonderful way to make them, yes, it's worth the investment. Yes, we are going to do that. I'm with you. That's what you want to be. You want to be the kind of leader that stands in the front line and takes everyone with his positiveness, with his power of leadership, with his assertiveness and confidence. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think it's very tied to what we were talking about on previous slides, that being positive about your deadlines and everything you do is really tied to confidence. And if you're confident enough, I think you can be even positive about it. So absolutely,
yeah, it makes it easier. Yeah, definitely. We talked about this a bit in the hairy hand principle and in the hard drive principle less, but allowing your client to express themselves and their thoughts, allowing them to have a say, totally makes them happy. When a client invests in a project, he wants to invest more than his money, wants to invest his soul. He sees the project as the personification or the continuation of himself. That's psychologically. Mm-hmm. You need to allow them to have that stage. How do you allow them to have that stage? You plan that. You plan to have the client have a say. What do you think about this and that? You send an email from time to time, just, you know, trying to harvest feedback from the client, if he's not doing that themselves. If they are not doing that themselves, you need to do that. Don't think that you're off the hook because the client is not communicating with you. He will definitely at the back of his mind would regret that he did not communicate with you on time, which will contribute to the fact that he will be less happy with your work. That's why proactiveness in your communication, as mentioned before, and will be mentioned again, is extremely important. Give the client the stage. Okay. Next point. Accountability and ownership demonstrates that that you are owning this. Owning this means everything, meaning the clients just pressed on the autopilot button and he knows the plane will arrive to his destination. When you work with someone, take ownership over everything in the project that communicates with you, that operates you, that harvests the information that he needs without you as a client being present there, and surprises you even. This type of accountability, this type of, let's say, responsiveness that is out of the ordinary calms the client like nothing else. He knows he can trust you. And when he knows he can trust you, you know that he will give you additional time if you are late on deadlines because he's a part and he trusts you. You know that he will even add funds if you discover that there is a part that none of you thought about, or there is some kind of a bump in the road that requires additional funds to get the perfect product in the end. So it's really, really important to keep that in mind. And
can you define ownership? Exactly what do you mean by ownership in this slide?
Ownership. There is a book called Extreme Ownership. It was written by a Navy SEAL that I think he also runs a reality show of some sort or something. I don't quite remember. I read it quite a long while ago. Extreme ownership basically says, if I'll summarize it in a sentence, is own everything in the project. Owning everything in the project is asking all the questions, researching everything, coming up with things that the client didn't came up with and even didn't expect anyone to come up with, and even guiding the client from step 1 to step 11. Meaning, you may have started with the logo, but when you already outline the way from the logo to the finished product, the client tells to himself, okay, there are a lot of things here. It did a lot of work. He's only progressing. He's only getting more on his feet while progressing on the work, and he's already in places that I would never imagine I could be with another service provider if I would not work with these people or this guy or this guy, whatever. So Extreme Ownership, I really recommend to read that, and learning about accountability and what people perceive as accountable, because you see it in companies. What's the difference between a VP marketing and a CEO at the end of the day? The VP marketing is accountable to the CEO, but the CEO is accountable to the board of directors. And to the CEOs, you have the VP marketing accountable, the VP sales marketing, the VP sales accountable, the CTO accountable. All the VPs are accountable to the CEO, meaning everything ends at the top of the CEO and is accountable for the entire company. When something happens to a company, they won't come, the board of directors or the investor, they won't come with complaints to the VP marketing. They will come with complaints to the CEO. The complaint might be, why did you hire this VP of marketing? It's your responsibility, but eventually it's the CEO's blame. That's why CEOs are getting paid way more than VP marketing, because they are accountable for more. And the more you're accountable, the more you are going to get paid by definition. If a client sees that you are an extremely accountable person, he knows I can put this project and that money with this guy, and he will deliver everything I need back. That's it.
Mm-hmm. They are carrying basically way more responsibility. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's responsibility. So, next slide. Okay. There is that thing that is called our ego. And our ego, we really love to get patted with the ego. Oh, you did a nice job. You did an excellent job. Every time you have that need, I highly recommend you stop yourself and you have the following message. For a good dog, you know, when a dog does something good, you pat him on the head. Not necessarily because the dog did something good, it's because the dog needed more than the owner. Now, over time in evolution, you know, the owner developed the sense of they're getting the good feeling from caressing the dog, and the dog gets the good feeling from being caressed. But it's an owner-dog relationship when you expect someone to say to you that you did a good job. You never expect to get that thing. If you're after that you did a good job, positive reinforcements, you are probably going to get disappointed a lot. When there is no complaints, think about it like that, that means that you made a good job. A lot of people will not complain when you did a good job, and that should be your good pat on the shoulder kind of thing. But the other way around works quite remarkably in your favor when you come to make the client happy. Meaning, when you commemorate the client and tell him how his product is awesome and how his idea is amazing, and when you comment on his feedback and you tell him, whoa, your feedback allowed us to do X, Y, Z, and it's totally changed the way we were thinking. You are basically petting the client, you are commemorating the client, you are giving feedback that is excellent client and product owner and CEO and whatnot. But what you are doing, you are just making this, you are creating a type of connection that was not there before, of the client expecting to hear that again and again, these reinforcements from you, and you actually becoming more the owner of what's going on than the client. Although you will not reap the emotional awards of, you know, having a, you did a good job commemoration, you will reap the next projects and all the ownership over the projects going forward. And yes, a better pay raise, because that client want to hear that he's awesome. That's a human need. And deep down inside, your client will know that yes, he might have a good idea, or at least he thinks he had a good idea, but the one responsible for executing everything, and none of it would be possible without the one executing, i.e. you, the agency, the service provider, etc. That's why a reverse feedback loop that supports the client works always in your favor in terms of making the client happy, and it will develop a friendship later, you know?
So you're saying that we should like recognize our clients for like doing a great job?
Yes.
Okay.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah, I think that's something not so many people talk about. For example, if you do lead generation, that a lot of clients actually, if they know how to process the leads, you will give them. I think it's not like automatic, that it's not like very common that they know how to process those leads. But if you have this client, just say, hey, I'm pretty impressed how you can process these leads. And a lot of companies cannot do it.
That's an amazing capability.
You're doing great job at it. So yeah, it's nice to work with you. It's really cool.
I had a doubt about these leads, you know, they were, I don't know, from Mars, but you were able to convert leads from Mars. It's unheard of, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, next point. Sometimes your client will have a bad day, you know. Being an entrepreneur, you know, we all have bad days, sometimes bad weeks, bad months, and it accumulates to stress and a lot of mental battles with ourselves and our environment. And, you know, just being the shoulder to cry on, or someone to lean on and to talk about difficulties he's experiencing, and taking it beyond the professional relationship, that's something that will definitely connect your client to you more and will make them eventually more happy with your work.
Yes.
Now, of course, so it will not work if you will deliver a horrible product at the end, right? But it will work if everything stacks up. If all of your behaviors stack up, it will immediately click with the client that, you know, you're not only an amazing service provider, you are also someone I can totally trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a level beyond the service provider, meaning you can be even a partner after a while. And a partner after a while and someone I can totally trust immediately clicks with that niche of, yes, I'm working with him, but he's also my friend, okay? And that's just the regular mental road to it, you know. For some people, they might say, yeah, of course, it makes sense, but, you know, it doesn't stand alone. It needs to stack up. Each behavior needs to stack up one on top of the other.
Yeah, like from this topic, what I do, or at least what I was doing when I was working with clients, after first meeting, I usually on the meeting mention some interesting book or resource. So in the follow-up email, which is, by the way, not very usual for freelancers and so on, to send follow-up email after meeting, that you will send follow-up email, hey, this was productive, I really enjoyed it. And then in the end, and hey, this is the book I was talking about. I think this can be useful for you because of this and because of that. And you just share value like this. And if you start working with this client, you can, I was actually giving books to my clients, and it's something incredible. If you do a nice package and you give it to a client, it can do wonders, really.
Yeah, they will associate that book and everything they learn from that book with you. That is correct approach. Yep. Totally supported. Yeah. Now, if a client is extremely difficult, but is worth your time, and you know, some clients can be extremely difficult because of the reason we mentioned before. You know, they're just having rough time, and you need maybe, you know, and it doesn't come naturally to be positive and happy next to a person who is miserable, or is you feel like he's trying to bring you and the entire project down subconsciously. You know, it does happen a lot. You might be surprised. I'm sure that you experienced it yourself. You are a service provider, and sometimes the client will act this way. You need to develop some acting skills. And there are a lot of service providers out there that own some serious acting skill game that allows them to plow through these difficult periods with difficult clients. But of course, it's only worth it, and it's not really acting. Yeah, it's acting for the benefit of the greater good at the event, because you know that that client is not specifically always like that. It's just having a rough patch. But acting and lifting and being inquisitive and being happy and positive does make a difference over time, and they will remember that you were the one lifting them up when they were down, and you were carrying this entire project on your shoulders. That's an important thing to have, this bit amount of acting skills when it's difficult. However, that brings us to the next point. And if a client is difficult beyond anything rational, don't try to make them happy. make yourself happy. Fire them. Fire their ass. Just make yourself happy. No one should ever steal your thunder and your mojo. And you start your day, the sun is up, and suddenly there is the cloudy, rainy, thundery Hiroshima person on the other side of the screen that destroys your day. I know that in our agencies, we had clients that because of them, I grinded teeth at night, I lost sleep, I was stressed. Not worth it. Totally not worth it. You will find a client that will replace them. The most important thing when it comes down to it is your happiness and your team's happiness and your ability to continue to be productive. Because these kind of clients, they might pay you money, but they actually they make you less productive over time, and they destroy your ability to deliver, and you start to doubt yourself, and they just are not worth it. Let someone else, if they want, to eat that poison, and that's exactly what it is. It's poison. Always work with people that you want to work with.
Yes.
Have your own inner set of values. Don't settle for like you wouldn't settle for a horrible boss if you could. As an entrepreneur, you can, so do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely advice that if anything, that's the one thing that you need to take from anything. Work with people you love, and will bring us to our last point. If you want to summarize everything, work with people you can be professional with. Because making a client happy is the core of professionalism. As long as you're a professional, you'll always make the client happy. And all the behaviors I talked about in these presentations are at the core of professionalism. Even acting. Acting as a professional when the last thing you want to see or talk to is a miserable client. Being assertive and not giving in when you believe in something that it's the right thing to do, that's being professional. Not being a joker is being a professional. Over time, as I said, you become friends. That's okay. With your friends, you can be whoever you want to be, okay? But with your clients, be humoristic, be fun, be positive, but don't be a joker. A professional takes care of things. A professional delivers on time. A professional never gets emotional or agitated or angry. It just manages the expectations on the other side and manages his own ability to deal with what has been handed to him. He owns, the professional owns, okay? And that is my little presentation about the soft skills you need to manage a client. Yeah.
As you mentioned previously, I think making clients happy is really about it if you can deliver what you promise in the time frame you promised. And this is like the foundation you can build on. So if you can do these things, I think you're on a good way to make your clients happy. But if not, if you're not like able to manage to do these two basic things, basically, I would work on these first before start applying other strategies, because you can buy as many books, provide as much value as you can to your clients.
Yeah.
But if you won't deliver what they are paying for, well, it's quite counterproductive. So I wouldn't do it.
Exactly. If the client expects something, now sometimes the world is against you, the client is against you. Having an additional set of soft skills that will allow you to manage the client while you deal with those things that have been thrown at you, or these problems. Sometimes it's problems that cause delays in project. Having the soft skills allow you to close the project respectfully, professionally, and still be good at the eyes of the client. If you take your client throughout your journey and you communicate and are positive and you deliver at the end, and you deliver an amazing result in the end, you're good.
Absolutely. All right, Haim, this was again really insightful. Thanks a lot. For everybody who are still watching, this was using the right skills to maintain a healthy relationship with your clients. Replay is already available on Facebook. After we end this, of course, replay will be almost immediately available on Facebook, so you can watch it. And there are available replays of all the webinars we did. So on October 15th, we had like first webinar about Fronter, then the heavy hand principle, then the hard drive principle, and today using the right soft skills. So make sure you will watch them if you're interested in managing your clients the right way. Client Management Academy, that's what it's called, this webinar series. And next week we are talking about how to get more clients by leveraging recommendations and referrals. So if you want to get more clients using your existing clients or leveraging your existing clients in a good way, make sure you will join next week as well. And you can join by going on fronter.pitchground.com, and it will take you to registration page. You will just fill in your email address and you can join, or you can watch even without registration on Facebook or in our Facebook group. And the last thing is Fronter is of course live. So for those of you who are managing clients and you are tired of these long email conversations back and forth about revisions and feedback loops, Fronter might be help for you because it allows you to comment on a live website or still images, for example, or on wireframes. So if you are providing some sort of design, web design services, app development, and so on, you can use Fronter to make your feedback loop way more comfortable for you and even for your client.
It works crazy amazing for web developers also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people actually bought Fronter already. So, and we are getting a lot of good feedback. For example, yesterday from Darren, who is using it. And I believe that before it was just emails and so on. And right now with Fronter, he just can share an URL, put it into Fronter, and then he can comment like, hey, this button is way too big. I don't like the headline here immediately, and then just share the link and the client will see it. So guys, if you are intrigued, make sure you will check pitchground.com/products/Fronter, and it will take you to this page where you can read pretty much everything. There are multiple plans available. First one is for $49 lifetime. You don't have to pay monthly or annually, you will pay once and that's it. And the plans are different mainly in number of users. And the last plan is white labeled. It means that your clients won't see powered by Fronter there. They will see the logo you will choose. So your agency, for example. So make sure you will check it, pitchground.com/products/Fronter. And I think that's pretty much about it today.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Haim, thanks a lot for preparation. It was really insightful as usual. And I will see you next week on our last webinar.
Yep, definitely can't be sooner. Yeah.
All right. Looking forward. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.